Today's Christmas story comes from a book, These Storied Mountains, and it was written by John Paris. Oranges mean Christmas to old-timers. To many an old-timer who grew up here in the mountains, oranges are as much a part of Christmas tradition as holly and mistletoe, eggnog, and boiled custard. Whenever they whiff the pungent smell of an orange being peeled, no matter the season, they think of Christmas. For as children in a world where the commonplace things of today were rarities, they never saw oranges except at Christmas time, and they believed that oranges could be bought only then because merchants never displayed them at any other season. Nobody knows just when they became an inseparable part of Christmas here in the hills, but by the 70s, the account books kept by the country storekeepers showed that oranges were bought generally. For the next 40 years, except in Asheville, oranges seldom, if ever, showed up in the stores except at Christmas time. Back when they were a real luxury for mountain folks, families bought a dozen oranges and felt that they were well supplied. Folks scrimped and saved, hoarding up their eggs for trade at the country store to be able to have oranges at Christmas. To the children of that era, it was not Christmas without getting an orange. Many an old-timer remembers with heartwarming nostalgia the joy of waking up on Christmas morning to find a golden ball in their stockings and to discover that Santa Claus, in a generous mood, had left an additional 6 or 7 oranges by the fireplace. The children hung on to those left in their stockings as long as possible and shared with the whole family the others, which were peeled one at a time and eaten one at a time, with their mother passing the fruit around in segments. Many an old-timer looking back to his lost youth is haunted yet by the smell and taste of these oranges of his sprouting years. Just as oranges became a part of Christmas tradition with mountain folks, so did raisins and coconuts. And like oranges, they showed up only at Christmas time. Raisins had a special appeal for children. They were unlike the packaged moist raisins carried in the stores nowadays. They came in big wooden boxes. They were dried on the stem and were bought by the bunch. They too found their way into many a child's Christmas stocking, and they created almost as much excitement as an orange. During this same era, coconuts found their way into the mountains through enterprising drummers who induced storekeepers to handle a few at Christmas time, and they caught on fast and became a vital part of Christmas cooking. Out of them came the coconut cake as a Christmas tradition in most mountain households. A 10-cent coconut was sufficient to make 1 cake, and 6 were enough to make enough cakes to last all of Christmas week and well into the new year. Opening coconuts was a real adventure back then, and it still is for a lot of us who grew up with the tradition of having coconuts at Christmas. First, the soft eyes were punched out in order to drain off the richly flavored milk, which proposed a problem when there was more than one child in the family and not enough coconuts to produce more than a sip for each. Then there was the business of cracking the hull and extracting the crust of meat. The best way was to saw open the nut, thus retaining the lower half of the shell, which made an excellent bowl for a dipper or for storing soft soap. Once the meat was extracted, long hours went into grating it over coarse homemade graters into bits and slivers that eventually found their way into a thick coconut cake. Coconut cake and boiled custard for Christmas Day had long been a tradition in our family when I came along, and my mother never missed making a coconut layer cake at Christmas for the next 50 years. Even when prepared and shredded coconut was introduced into the stores, Mama still bought coconuts and did her own shredding. She always contended that it was more flavorsome. Coconuts still show up at Christmas time in the stores, and many a mountain woman turns to them for her cake making. Like oranges and raisins, they have become commonplace nowadays, yet to many an old-timer, all three are part of Christmas tradition in the mountains.